Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy edition with a couple of articles in security we are going to put at the very end of the video as well. And what we're going to do here is just kind of look at the latest in the privacy. Now, I have to say, guys, I started this week, I had about 100 articles and I had to whittle down to the best. So a little bit longer, but hopefully it will be worth it. Although I think some of these we can get through pretty quick. Let's go ahead and dive on in. This is actually an update story. So if you remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we covered the military was grabbing apps. Mostly it was looking like a lot of apps. It was targeting apps that Muslims tend to use. So Quran apps, prayer reminder apps, things like that. In addition to a few other things. No word if they were in like the Christian Bible apps like we might use. If you're a Christian, though, on Android, use and Bible, definitely better. No privacy breaches over there. But nevertheless, it turns out that there was pretty much one tracker that the military was using, and that's called the X mode tracker. And this week, both Apple and Google are banning X mode tracker systems in all of their apps, and they're being pretty stinking forceful about it. They're like, you got to remove them. You only have a few days to do it, and if you don't remove those, we're banning your app. So this is actually good news in the terms of privacy, guys, particularly for you Muslims that are using the Quran apps or the prayer reminder apps, anything with X mode in it. This is good because, yeah, we really don't actually need the military tracking people based upon the Android and the Apple apps. But this is also a very good reason to not necessarily utilize such things. This one here was a hit and miss. I had to stare at this and go, Brave, but Brave, what the hell are you doing? Because this is Brave browser. They're launching a privacy-friendly newsreader. Basically, summarized, this is Pocket for Brave. If you've been annoyed on Firefox with the Pocket crap, and you're like, I'm not really interested, yeah, this is basically Pocket for Brave. They've developed a system that, yeah, allegedly doesn't do any tracking, but hey, they're going to annoy you with articles that it thinks you want to see. So way for Brave, putting AI and your own personal preferences in your face right at you. Was anybody out there asking for this nonsense? Literally, was anybody asking for this nonsense? It is private, but it is annoying. The idea, just like Pocket, it will have some degree of information about you, and it's going to collect this data and, keep it allegedly on the browser. I haven't seen anything to that. And then what's going to happen is it's going to go in, oh God, S3 buckets are involved. It's going to leak data all over the internet. These leaky S3 colanders from AWS are going to be leaking our data all over. I can see it now, but anyway. They're grabbing, basically they pull in a whole ton of news article feeds, they send it to your system, and then your browser on your system is going to sort out with AI what you might like to see and show you the things you might like to see. Okay, there's a couple issues with this. Number one, I didn't ask for this. I'm perfectly capable of searching for the news articles I kind of want to see without you. 3, do we really need to utilize my extra system processes to do this nonsense that nobody's asking for? But hey, at least allegedly, it's not going to be sending forth our data. But what do you guys think about this? Is this a good thing, or is this just, my lord, I've gotten rid of Pocket, now I got to get rid of the same nonsense on Brave? All right, good feeling news gone, because Nintendo, anyone out there with a Switch, Nintendo Switch out there, they just pushed this update and it automatically opted you into all data sharing, even if you had previously opted out. Isn't that so nice of Nintendo? I mean, come on, guys, they need to get a better user experience. And what better user experience could you possibly get than to opt you into data collection that you have already opted out of simply because they forced an update to your device? Thank you, Nintendo. I really wanted this breach of my data. Basically, all it does is it opts your system into sharing data with Google Analytics, which, yeah, by the way, can actually track down exactly whom you are. But nevertheless, it does talk about it. It's not like bad data collection type stuff, but it is analytics, mostly about what type of websites you're visiting with the browser. I guess that's the way it's working. I don't know. I've never touched a Nintendo Switch. I'm not actually sure I've ever seen a Nintendo Switch. I don't know. Maybe I'm deprived or something. I don't know. You can opt out of it going to the home menu, go to Switch's eShop. Great, you got to go to the shop to opt out. How exciting. Select your profile, scroll through the options until you see Google Analytics preferences near the bottom, and change the setting to do not share. Again, if you have a Nintendo Switch, it automatically opted you in when the update came. Yay for Nintendo. Google, they're getting creepier. They want to let you speak with your eyes. So they're working on an app that is going to utilize the cameras and other sensors, and they're going to track your eyes around. And the idea is to allow you to make selections with your eyes. Yeah, that's creepy as hell. Android app is designed to make communication easier for people with motor and speech impairments, and it is also designed to start tracking everything you do and have a complete knowledge about what and where you're looking on the screen. Guys, these are all pitched to you as great ideas, and they're really not. They are really not. All right, so new experimental application on Android aims to make communication easier for people with speech and motor impairments and to steal the data for the rest of us. Announced today, the Look to Speak app lets users choose pre-selected phrases on their phone with their eyes. Only available to anyone. It is available to anyone and is compatible with Android 9 and above, including Android 1. One Android to rule them all, guys. Richard Cave, highly specialist speech and language therapist at Google, works with people who have speech and motor impairments, especially people who are nonverbal and need assistance communicating. It's more than a job for me. It's a passion to steal everybody's looks. Good looks you got there. I'd like to steal those. Cave said in a blog post announcing the app, "Every day I strive to help people find easier, more accessible ways to express everyday needs, opinions, feelings, identity, and to steal more of their data." So yeah, you can have a look at the video there. It's in the show notes if you want to watch the video and see what is going on through that. Wow, we're only halfway through the news now. Gotta speed this up. The feds logged website visitors in 2019, citing the Patriot Act. So privacy-minded folks were a little bit mad about this, but basically they're like, hey, we think somebody's doing something bad. So they accessed website logs for a lot of different websites and just did a bunch of blanket collecting all sorts of data. Oh, don't worry, we're going to get rid of the data that we don't really need. So don't worry about any of that. It's all fine. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So they said on, let's see, what now? The Patriot Act, including Section 215, was first adopted in October 2001, wake of the bad stuff in New York City. Section 215 specifically allows the FBI to obtain an order from a secret court known as FISA, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, to collect any record it deems not relevant to national security investigation. This particular provision of the law rocketed to visibility after that evil Edward Snowden made his infamous leaks way back in 2013 that the courts have ruled on and said were unconstitutional for the government to be doing this kind of stuff. Didn't take a rocket scientist to put that one together. But they were utilizing the Patriot Act to scoop up website data, see who's looking at which websites and things like that. So, you know, and those were just recently extended, by the way. Yeah, by the way, if you think that, you know, our new possible incoming administration happens to be integrated and going to get rid of that stuff, oh no, they're going to double down on it, boys. They're going to double down on it. They're going to make it worse. It's going to be glorious. All right. In the categorized under the pot calling the kettle black, WhatsApp complains Apple's privacy nutrition labels should apply to pre-installed apps too. They're like, but you're stealing data too. Don't label our stuff, you're stealing data too, which they have a valid point. So this is, of course, the new privacy nutrition label. You know, same stuff that Google's been doing for a while, is put on there so when you download an app, you can have the ability to see what type of data an app is collecting. And WhatsApp's coming down saying, hey, Apple comes pre-installed with a whole lot of things, which have a whole lot of these trackers, and they're not allowed or they're not required to disclose theirs, but they're going to disclose everybody else's problems instead. That's one of the things that they are talking about. So they complained about it. So it gives us information. So it's very similar to what Google does. Data linked to you. The following data may be collected and linked to your account's devices or identity. Financial info. Hey, that's all I need, right? Contacts, browsing history, location, purchase. You ever hear the case where some people, I think Facebook does this in a way, where they will up or down regulate you based upon the credit scores of your close contacts. Very interesting stuff. Data used to track you. Like, okay, you read the screen. Is anybody like, I really want to give up my financial data to play like, Candy Crush or something goofy like that. I don't know. Just made that up, by the way. But anyway, they are saying that all of these things, people should have to accept this on the Apple devices and be able to say, you know what? I don't want that. I do not agree to that type of data collection. I would like that app off of my phone. But they don't really have the choice, and that's kind of what we're getting at with that. The Chinese tech giant tested facial recognition software to alert authority to, I might get the word pronounced, is it Uyghurs? Basically Muslims, Arabi peoples, basically what that means to my understanding. I had to look that word up. I don't know. I'm like, what the heck is that? Apparently it's Muslims. So they're using Face ID that they, if I'm going to call it an Uyghur, that might be wrong, okay? It's going to be wrong. I can't pronounce it. You get put that many letters together. I don't know. I'll call it the Uyghur. Okay, the Uyghur alarm alerts government authorities if they happen to spot one of them bad people in the crowd. It's like, go harvest his organs! Okay, I mean, really, this is insane. Company began working with facial recognition startup Megevi in 2018 to test the artificial intelligence software that could scan faces in a crowd and give estimates regarding their ethnicity, age, and sex, according to documents exclusively obtained by the highly integrated Washington Post. However, if the software detected an Arab, let's get to that. It could trigger an alarm that would be sent to local authorities, according to the report. System uses a number of facial photos to detect any patterns that would differentiate them from the Han majority. I guess it's a very specific form. The Washington Post reported. Founder of IPVM, a Pennsylvania... Oh, God, they're in my state. Oh, Lordy. All right. A Pennsylvania-based company that reviews video surveillance equipment said the document showed a frightening reality. This is not one isolated company, he said. A lot of thought went into making sure this alarm works, right? This is not good. Guys, I mean, it's not good for any country to start doing anything like this, guys. Really, this is insane. Oh boy, and the news is just getting crazier from here. Australia's spy agencies have been caught collecting COVID-19 app data. You guys that have been forced to utilize your COVID-19 stuff, yeah, these spies are now watching you. So yeah, if any of my down under friends are on, gotta be careful. The spy might come by and snuff you out. But yeah, the intelligence agency's been caught. It was incidental, guys. It wasn't intentional. It was incidental. It just happened to get caught up in all the other stuff we were collecting and harvesting. We promise we're gonna delete it within a few days ish, week, month, year, 5 years, maybe. I don't know. We'll get rid of it. Maybe. So they were caught incidentally collecting data from the COVID safe contact tracing app. Guys, don't use these apps. Don't use these apps. Report published Monday by the Australian Government Inspector General for the Intelligence Community, which oversees government spy and eavesdropping agencies. Oh, you have a government inspector general to oversight the spies and eavesdropping. This is just not looking good. The app data was scooped up in the course of lawful collection of other data. Yeah, no word what that data was. But the watchdog said there was no evidence that any agent decrypted, accessed, or used any COVID app data. Oh, you think they're going to tell you? Oh my lord. So yeah, incidental collection is a common term used by spies to describe data that was not deliberately targeted, but it was just kind of scooped up in the mess, you know? I mean, hey, if you ever go shrimp fishing, you're gonna catch a lot of other stuff in them nets too. I mean, you dump those shrimp on there and some crabs are gonna walk off. It's just incidental. You weren't targeting the crabs, you just got them anyway. All right? I mean, really. But there you have it. And on to our final story, which is kind of another update, and this is actually some interesting news. So in the wake of all of these nonsense, everybody do your schooling at home, all sorts of universities are now forcing, and younger ones too, and this kid here looks to be, I don't know, about what, 10 or something, on the screen from this article, they're required to utilize these third-party services. And it's like the same thing with the school districts forcing you to use a Google account with your education. Can you now compel me? Like, I am compelled to go to school. It is against the law to go to school. In fact, Kamala Harris, the person that we had allegedly elected as the vice president of the country, sent people to jail for not going to school. You do realize that's the tyrant we possibly put in office, right? But regardless, all right, you are compelled to go to school. So the school says, well, you have to get a Google account. Well, what if I don't agree to the terms and services of that Google account? Well, the Google account is nothing compared to these proctoring sites. And Proctor used the biggest one, and there's a few other ones. Now, we talked about how creepy these were about a month or two ago. And then about a month ago, we reported that one of them, all of the data leaked. All of their photo IDs, in containing all their addresses, all their payment records, all their emails, everything about them, all of it leaked out to hackers. 500,000 students had their data breached because of these things. So, EPIC, so the Electronic Privacy Information Center, has filed a complaint with the DC Attorney General's office against 5 online test proctoring services. Respondus, ProctorU, Proctorio, that sounds like a butt exam, Examity, and Honor Lock. Apparently, there is no honor roll over here. EPIC claims that the firms violate the privacy rights of students. And this was what my argument is. You sign up for these things. You literally have to give them all this information. Of course, you have to pay them. Even though you're already paying an exorbitant amount for your education, you still got to pay for this service. I guess some universities include the account for free. But then you got to get in there. You got to show them, send them photocopies of your ID. And then you have to get on with these cameras and you have to show them copies of your photo ID so that some, third world hacker in a tent somewhere can watch you with the camera while you take a test. You show them your photo ID, you got to pick up the camera and show them your whole desk, and then some of these are utilizing AI to determine, oh, your face shouldn't quite look like that. We think you're cheating. The AI is making decisions about what it thinks you may or may not be doing. Whatever happened to, I need to take an exam. Let's go to my church and have my pastor proctor it. Or, anywhere. Like, there's a lot of other options that we have. Kids like this, sure. You know what? There is no reason under the sun that this kid's parent cannot properly proctor him while he takes a test. For the love. All right? And so the methods they're saying they're using secret algorithms, unfair and deceptive trade practices. They're saying it's collecting massive amounts of sensitive personal information, including biometric data. It's unjustified, excessive, and harmful to students who have no meaningful opportunity to opt out of such systems. Forcibly collecting personal information from test takers, including sensitive biometric data, is inherently invasive. And I completely agree. They sent letters to the 5 groups to make them aware of it. But this is the thing, you go to school, the school should provide all of these services as part of the fee you're doing for your education. If they can't, We need to compel the school to provide this information as part of education. There's no earthly reason under the sun any of these companies should exist and collect the type of data that they are collecting. There's no reason some third world country weirdo in a tent has to watch my 10-year-old take a test. What's he doing there? Is he tubing it the whole time? That's creepy. That's creepy. All right. Well, what's not creepy? If you would like to help support the channel, you're into doing some server type stuff, you can use my affiliate code for Linode to get $100 in credit to use over 2 months, 60 days of that. You can play around with various server technologies. I do have a video on the channel about creating a VPN with Linode. I have another one about creating a Nextcloud account with Linode, and then we have a few other ones out there as well. So you can go ahead and utilize Linode. Try out a lot of different things, and frankly, really good services. I've been really happy with them since I've been using the Jitsi services. I'm testing ISP config. I have a Cirex search engine we're testing out. A lot of fun things. So go ahead and use that Linode credit there if you are interested in testing out Linode. Well, let's get over and talk about a couple of security articles next. First up in security, radio proximity exploit can quietly take over an entire iPhone without knowing it. This guy's like, there's something beautifully haunting about watching these iPhones die as they get a Wi-Fi broadcast packet of death. Basically, you could be sitting there with Wi-Fi on if it's scanning for wireless, and the hacker can come over here and just basically brick your phone. He has a video here talking about it. Let's see, using about $100 worth of equipment, including a Raspberry Pi and some other off-the-shelf Wi-Fi adapters. Project Zero researcher Ian Beer, nice name, developed an exploit that can hijack an iPhone over Wi-Fi without the phone even being connected to a network. Attack requires no interaction on part of the victim. So yeah, that'd be a fun thing to do, right? Go to the Starbucks. I'll blend in nicely with my little Mac here over at a Starbucks, and I'll just have my little Wi-Fi, little Raspberry Pi in the middle. I'll just be over there bricking everybody's iPhones. Serves you right for using an iPhone. Like, yeah, what's going on? Fortunately, there's a Verizon store right next door. I'll cause a mass rush over there. I'll invest a little bit in Verizon before I do it, you know. Oh, no, I'm kidding. Disavow, disavow. So he actually has nice videos here about breaking all these iPhones with some basic equipment. Yeah, baby. So there you have it. Kind of fun. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. GE embeds the default password in radiology devices, leaving healthcare networks exposed. Oh boy, we get some bad tech here. That's for sure. So radiology products from GE Healthcare contain critical vulnerability that threatens the networks of hospitals and other healthcare providers. Use devices, officials from the U.S. government and a privacy security firm said on Tuesday. Statement they wrote, we are not aware of any unauthorized access to the data, but, you know, it's probably going to happen because, you know, it's all just right there. Oh boy, that's exciting. Devices included, you guys work in hospitals. Let me read these really quick for you guys listening on just not paying attention to the screen. Advantage Workstation Server Optima, Innova, Lightspeed Pro 16, Lightspeed RT 16, Brightspeed Discovery and Optima, Revolution Evo, Revolution Frontier, Discovery IQ, Odyssey, Discovery, Acceleris, Signa HD, HDXT 3.0T, Bravo 355/Optima 360, Senu 2000D DS Essential, Senograph, Pristina, Definio, Brivio, and Discovery, LogiQ, I guess, Evolution. And if you have any of those, make sure that they are not accessible to an internet connection. There you have it. This one here I wanted to cover. This is an example of where the Supreme Court we talked about last week is taking up a case to finally look at the hacking laws. And this is going to be one of the things affected by that. So Florida's justification for raiding COVID data whistleblower Rebecca Jones is looking a little shaky. Now, I completely disagree with this lady. And the allegement is that Florida wants to open up and she's like, Florida's hiding the numbers to make it look not bad. Dude, the CDC is very clear. It's not bad, okay? The research is pretty clear. It's not bad. This lady's just like, the world's gonna end! She's Chicken Little running around, and the government said, go away. And so she continued to do her own work, her own blogs, her own whatever, and that's perfectly okay. I fully endorse the free speech aspect of what she's doing. And they raided her house and pointed guns at her and her family and all this kind of stuff and all this kind of stuff. They say with guns drawn. Well, they were actually knocking on the door for like 20 minutes and she refused to come to the door. When you refuse to come to the door for the police with a search warrant, they do kick in your doors and come in with guns. Just an FYI. But at the core problem of this, they're saying she hacked into the state system. Where this actually has anything to do with where it's interesting with that Supreme Court case, it turns out that the system is a public database, which is simply password protected, but the password is also publicly available. So she used publicly available information to enter a password into a database, and she got the Gestapo coming in her door on her. Now, again, I disagree with what she says, but there's no earthly reason under the sun that she should stop her from doing this. If you do not want your database accessed, don't put the password for your database on the internet. Just a thought. Just a thought. So hopefully this case goes nowhere and she can get on back to her blogging and whatever else, because, hey, I'm okay with that. Whatever. And finally, Cloudflare, Apple, and others back a new way to make the internet more private. I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. So this is an extension onto DOH, DNS over HTTPS, which I argue is a bad thing. It's going to be one of the worst things we ever see from the internet because they're going to start embedding this into IoT devices. And when this happens, you have no control on any IoT device in your network. When they start embedding this into IoT devices, you cannot have any control over it. It will bypass whatever you put in the way. It will be prevented from anything. It's basically, this is kind of what Amazon is doing with their Sidewalk project. They're having this network that you can't control, which is going through your wireless network, borrowing all your data against your data caps, we might say. What they're doing, though, is they're adding an O in front, so it's obfuscated, whatever that word is. You guys know what word I'm talking about. I just can't seem to say it these days. Obfuscated, there you go. DNS over HTTPS. It actually works fairly well. It's basically Tor for DOS, or DNS, which is kind of cool. So you have your, where are we at? Oh, there we are. I was like, something's goofy here. So we have our client over here, and the client is going to shoot an HTTP request for the DNS over a proxy. The proxy is then going to send it to the example through the DNS server. And so we end up with this proxy sitting in between. It's effectively the same way Tor works, where the person resolving the DNS, in this case Cloudflare or Quad9, whoever else is running the DNS over HTTPS, they can't actually go back and see who is making the request. This is a good thing. This is in ways a good thing. I still argue DNS over HTTPS is a bad thing for the future of the internet. This is why I am completely against Firefox pushing it down the throats of people unless you catch it that very first time and turn it off. Fortunately, I believe you can kill it in a policy change, but that's yet to be seen entirely. So the idea actually works pretty well. It does actually provide a fair amount of protection. It is actually going to help out in that respect. So putting this extra layer of protection is good. To be able to do this without DNS over HTTPS would probably be a little bit better. That's going to be more complicated. So if you can host your own DNS over HTTPS on your own server and utilize this on your own server, your own network, where you have control over it, that's all the better. But when you start embedding IoT devices with DOH, we are going to see bad things happen. If you think botnets are out of control now, you just wait until they start embedding DNS over HTTPS in the IoT devices. That's going to be insane. Well, we'll end up here. If you'd like to help support the channel with Subscribestar, you can head on over to subscribestar.com/switchedtolinux. You can help support the channel over there. And with that, we'll go ahead and leave this one here. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.